Hi, this is Guy. Today I'm going to explain to you how you can make your own termite monitoring stations that are going to blow the doors off anything the professionals have and anything that you can purchase yourself. I'm not kidding. These things are a game changer for subterranean termite monitoring and elimination. Not only do they tell you if subterranean termites are about to attack your house, but you can also kill off the colony with the same stations. And you can do it way faster than the professional stations. The best part is that you can do it for very little money. You can install these around an average size house for under $100. So if you are interested in protecting your home from subterranean termites, then please keep watching. I'm going to walk you through everything so you can't possibly make a mistake. Okay, let's get right into it. At the time I did this video, I was able to purchase a case of 24 of these jars from Amazon for about $28.98. That's about $1.21 per jar. Now, the first thing you need to do to make one of these things is to drill a hole through the center of the cap. Start by removing the cap and remove the styrofoam seal. Fold the seal into quarters and snip off the tip of it. Put the seal back in the cap, and now you will know exactly where to drill your hole. Drill a pilot hole that is about 3/16 of an inch in diameter. For those of you who are using metrics, you can drill about a 5 millimeter hole. I hope it goes without saying that it would be a pretty good idea to avoid drilling holes through your fingers. I have done that already, and I can assure you that it is not a good idea. After drilling the hole, remove the styrofoam seal again. Hang on to it so that you can use it to make additional stations. You now need to enlarge this hole to 7/16 of an inch. If you were using the metric system, then make the hole about 2 millimeters wider than the dowel that you purchased. The hole needs to be a little wider than the dowel to allow it to move freely through the cap. Also, you need to allow for the fact that the dowel is going to swell when it gets wet, so you need to allow a little bit of extra room. The best way to enlarge the hole is to use a step drill bit. I purchased a set of these bits from Amazon for about $7. Before you drill, use a Sharpie to mark the drill bit one size larger than it needs to be. This will show you where to stop drilling. Be careful, because the drill will penetrate through the plastic very easily and quickly, so go slow. If you have a variable speed drill, then use a slower speed. I always put the cap back on the jar to make it a bit safer and easier to hold the work. Now, just use the drill to enlarge the hole up to the mark that you made on the step drill bit. At the time I made this video, I purchased a package of 100 of these 2-inch diameter wooden discs for $7.95. That's about 8 cents a piece. You are going to need to drill a hole in the center of the discs. The best way to find the center is to place the disc on a piece of paper and draw around the edge of it. Now, cut it out with a scissor, fold it into quarters, and snip off the tip. Place the paper circle over the top of the disc and use a pencil to mark the center. Just like with the cap, you need to drill a starter hole. Drill bits can bind up in these wooden discs, so it's a good idea to hold the disc with something that is more secure than your fingers. If you do not happen to have a vise handy, then a pair of vice grips will do nicely. After you drill the starter hole, use a 3/8 inch drill bit to enlarge the hole. If you are using the metric system, then drill a hole the exact same diameter as the dowel. The idea is that you want the dowel to fit snugly into the hole so that it does not slip. At the time I made this video, Amazon was selling a package of 25 3/8 inch dowels that are 12 inches long for $9.99. Make a pencil mark at the center of the dowel. That would be 6 inches or 15 millimeters. Now, simply cut the dowel in half. I find that a hacksaw does a pretty good job. I know that hacksaws are made for cutting metal, but the fine teeth on the blade make them an excellent choice to get a nice neat cut. If you cut the dowel perfectly in half, it will make 2 stations. Now insert the rough cut end of the dowel through the hole that you made in the wooden disc. It should fit snugly and not be able to move easily. Now insert the factory end of the dowel through the cap and screw it onto the jar. Do not do this with the jar in the vertical position, or you risk having the dowel fall through into the jar. I always hold the jar horizontally. If you did everything correctly, then you should have a very short piece of the dowel protruding through the cap. For those of you who are wondering why you need the wooden disc, it is because this will prevent the dowel from moving too far to one side of the jar. If it moves too far to one side of the jar, then the dowel may drop into the jar and make you think that you have termites when you do not. Now, remove the cap and the dowel and set them aside. Next, we are going to drill holes in the jar to allow the termites to enter. You do not need to mark the location of the holes because it doesn't need to be perfect, but I'm going to do it just to show you about where the holes should go. I make a line of 5 holes and create 8 lines of them. I also drill 2 holes on the bottom of the jar to allow water to escape. As always, I use a starter drill bit to make the first holes, and then I enlarge them with the step drill bit. The diameter of the hole doesn't matter, but I would make it at least 3/8 of an inch wide. For those of you who are wondering why I use the step drill bit instead of a standard drill bit, it's because a step drill bit will do a somewhat neater job on the plastic, and it will avoid cracking the plastic. Even when using the step drill bit though, you will probably get a lot of sharp plastic shreds that are protruding from the holes. The termites are not going to care about this, but do be careful not to cut yourself. I use a standard drill bit for the wooden discs because I want it to be a perfect 3/8 of an inch wide, and it is easy to make a mistake with the step drill bit. Now that you have all the holes drilled, simply reassemble the station and you're finished. You now have created your first termite monitoring station. If you would like to make them less conspicuous in your lawn, you can feel free to paint them green. Just make sure that you don't clog up the hole in the cap and prevent the dowel from moving freely. Now that we have one of the stations completed, let's go outside and I will show you how to install it. At the time I made this video, I purchased this auger for about $10 on Amazon. Unfortunately, it is no longer available, so just purchase one that is about the same diameter as the jar. Place the auger bit next to the jar and mark the correct length on the auger bit so you know about when to stop drilling. Measure about 3 to 4 feet or about 1.2 meters from the side of the house. This does not need to be perfect. Sometimes landscaping, sidewalks, and that sort of thing will dictate how far from the house you need to go. But try to be as consistent as you can with the measurement around the house to make it easier to find the stations after they are installed. You do not want the hole to be any deeper than it needs to be, or the station may sink into the ground over time. If you inadvertently drill too far, then push some dirt back into the hole until you reach the correct height. I always err on the side of making the hole a little too shallow rather than too deep. After drilling the hole, place the monitoring station in the hole and try to get it at the correct depth, so that the cap is the only thing showing above the dirt line. You do not want the cap to be protruding too far above the ground because you don't want it getting chopped apart by a lawnmower. You do need the cap above the dirt line so that you can remove it if you need to add bait. And there you have it. These are very easy to install. Always place the stations about 3 to 4 feet or about 1 meter apart. The closer they are together, the better they will work. If one of the stations becomes active, you will know because the dowel will disappear. I recommend checking them every month, and it's a good idea to push on the dowel with a stick to make sure it collapses if there are termites. One of the nice features about these stations is you can make your own bait and place it in the station to completely eliminate the colony. Now, to accommodate those of you who want videos to be just as short as possible, I'm going to do a separate video on how to make the bait. I will leave a link in the description and at the end of this video. For those of you that wish to know why these stations are likely going to work when the professional stations will not, then please keep watching. If you couldn't care less about the science, then feel free to stop watching now. The rest of this video is going to be devoted to explaining how termites operate and why they often do not find the professional stations, but they probably will find these stations. If you are leaving me now, then I would like to thank you so much for watching. As for the rest of you, please let me explain how termites work. The first thing you need to know about subterranean termites is that they are blind. That's right, they can't see anything. Also, they have no sense of smell either. So this begs the question, how do the termites find the monitoring stations, or your house for that matter? Well, the answer is pure dumb luck. The workers leave the colony, which is always underground, and they go out in different directions in search of food. When they stumble upon the food, they establish a route to and from the food by using pheromones. The pheromones guide the other termites to the location of the food. The reason the commercial bait stations fail so often is because they are usually installed somewhere between 10 to 20 feet apart. That would be about 3 to 6 meters. So, it is very easy for the termites to go right past them when they are searching for food. Of course, when they go past them, they are most likely going straight to your house. The reason they don't miss your house is because it's so large. Bait stations are significantly smaller. I mean, you can't fit too many people in a bait station. So, the reason these homemade stations work so much better is because you can install them so much closer together. The reason you can put them so much closer together is because they are so cheap to make. The professional stations are a lot more expensive, so to save money, the professionals put them much further apart. And it's pretty much that simple. If you place these things 3 to 4 feet apart, or maybe about 1 meter apart, it significantly increases your chances that the termites are going to find the stations. Now, it's still not foolproof, because the termites can manage to get through the space between the stations, but the odds of them finding the stations is dramatically improved. The odds are improved so much that the termites are actually unlikely to miss them. And there you have it. These homemade stations are far superior to anything that you can purchase commercially, and they are more cost-effective too. Okay, that's it for me today. If you like this video, please consider subscribing and don't forget to click on that like button. Thank you so much for watching. Be well, my friends.